Happy Wednesday. This is so exciting, and welcome from Nashville, Tennessee. We are with the Burnett team. I'm actually with the Burnett team. You notice 3 heads in one screen. We've done this. This is amazing. We have an exciting guest today, a fun topic on the do's and don'ts of mortgage, and I'm going to hand this over to them. Thank you so much for having me in here today.
We're just excited to have you live. Yeah. I'm like, we're not a background. We're really in the same room. This is the first time.
Well, tell us who we have today.
This is Melissa Luman Phillips. We've worked together for a very long time. She is with Highlands Residential Mortgage in Hendersonville, and she is just amazing. So great guest for us today.
Great to meet you, Melissa.
Thank you. You too. Glad to be here.
All right. Well, we've got a lot to talk about with this. A lot of people don't understand really how to set yourself up for a successful mortgage. You've picked out the house, you're doing all of this, but this is a really important topic. So, Marty, why don't you interact and let us know what you want your buyers to know?
Yeah, the mortgage industry is forever changing, and Melissa can, go into all of that. But what people don't realize is it is a process to go through to actually get a mortgage. So Melissa is going to help us today understand some of the things that you need to do in prep, and then some of the things that you absolutely do not want to do, or you will not get a mortgage.
Don't do this.
Well, then let's start with the what not to do's, Melissa. Why don't we start with that?
The do's and don'ts, and you nailed it right on the head. The mortgage industry is changing. It changed like 15 minutes ago. It changes all the time. And I kind of like to look at it as a canoe. And we're all in the same canoe, and we all have oars. And if everybody rows together, we all have the same finality, which is to get to closing. And to make the oars move smooth, these are some of the things that you really need to do prior to getting a mortgage and through the process as well. So we can start with the don'ts. The first thing to do is to call your local lender and call Marty and Matt. Absolutely. But the don'ts start with no large deposits. That's probably one of the biggest.
People don't realize that, though.
They don't. And we don't look at it like your pay stub is a large deposit. But if you're perhaps going a THDA loan, which is a government down payment assistance loan, they look at anything over $100 as a large deposit. So it has to be documented. If you sell a car, you sell a motorcycle, you have a garage sale, you make that deposit, it has to be documented. So that's very important.
We were just discussing this topic, Melissa. We were laughing, and I cannot remember. You may have even been the mortgage lender on this deal. Me and Matt have laughed. People will say something about mortgage, and Matt will go, "Don't sell the goats." And I'm like, he'll go, "What are you talking about?" We literally had a buyer that had a deposit exactly like you're talking about. Came up and they're like, "What's this $300?" I really think it was like $300. They were moving and they had a handful of goats that they couldn't take to the new place, so they sold them.
They sold the goats.
Sold the goats, put the $300 in their account. Mortgage lender asks, "What's the $300?"
Right.
Sold my goats.
The goats.
Well, do you have a bill of sale for those goats?
The goats and a bill of sale would have taken care of that large deposit. And
some old dude came in a truck and cash and took a bill out of a bill of sale.
So it got resolved. They created a bill of sale, like the number of goats. I'm like, what you put on it? Like there was a brown one, a gray one, this one had, it was crazy. But it took several days to get it worked out. So I'm with Melissa.
Okay.
Don't sell the goats.
Don't sell the goats. What's next?
Don't move money around. That also poses as a problem. If somebody gives us a checking account and they don't provide the savings account and they move, $1,500 from their savings to their checking, and we have to know what that large deposit is, then we have to be provided with the savings account to see where that documentation came from. Don't open up new bank accounts. That's also a no-no. You get a bank statement and, they've only had it for 3 weeks and they can just give you a printout and they've made a deposit to open it. Well, where did that deposit come from? Deposits are a big thing, as you can tell. Don't open up any new credit cards. I have people call me before they'll think they're all done with the process and they're at H.H. Gregg and they want to buy a refrigerator or a new TV, and they'll call me from H.H. Gregg and they will say they're going to give me a discount if I purchase right now.
Of course they will.
I have to tell them, no, turn around, walk out, go have a salad. After you close, go to the same salesperson, and I guarantee you he'll give you that same deal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very important. Don't charge when you go to buy a house. Use your debit card or pay cash. Try not to use your credit cards. The reason why is because before we close, we do what's called a soft pull credit. And we're looking to see if that Dillard's card has gone up or that J.C. Penney's card has gone up. Because if it does, we have to use the new payment, and that could throw you out of the whole process of closing.
Yeah.
Even if you're going to pay that off, that payment, it still could throw them off, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, it's a pretty serious thing. One of probably the most important thing is don't quit your job.
Laugh, but people do it. People do it, or switch jobs.
Switching jobs is fine as long as you let the lender know, and as long as it's in the same line of work and you're getting the same kind of pay, such as, you can't go from a W-2 employee to owning your own lawn care business. That won't work because you have to be self-employed for 2 years. But if you're going to switch jobs and it's going to be in the same line of work, the most important thing to do is call your lender. Can't tell you how many times we also do right before closing, a closing call on the employer. And there's been times where they don't work here anymore. They quit yesterday. What? And I've had people say, I didn't think because it was in the same line of work that it was important for me to let you know that. So yes, please don't quit your job. That's a big one.
It's such important information. I mean, you guys see this happen. You're excited. Your clients have found the house and they do one of these mistakes that they probably don't realize is going to cause such a wrench in the system.
It does. I mean, Matt had one time that it's probably not one Melissa would mention because I can't imagine this would happen very often.
I was going to ask, is it okay if you go get married the morning before you buy the house?
The morning before?
Or the morning of?
No, the morning of. They came from the courthouse to the closing table.
We're sitting at the closing table, and what I thought was the man and the girlfriend said, "Oh yeah, we just got married this morning." And the lender's going,
"Oh, me." That might have been me. I might have been the lender on that one because that kind of when that happens. If you're at closing and they had done it that morning, you just kind of go on and close. But there's been times where, a week before closing, they'll say, hey, we got married yesterday. Well, I need a copy of your marriage license. And then we change the document so that it's closed as a married joint couple.
Yeah, I want to look at Matt and go, don't you think afternoon wedding would have been much, much better than the first thing in the morning?
Oh my
TV and the refrigerator and get married after the closing.
Yes.
That's right.
Leave the closing, go buy your refrigerator, swing by and get married. I mean, it's fun.
We can laugh, but it is so important. Such important information for people to just stop and think and realize, wow, you're right. Just everything on hold, follow these processes and steps. So let's go into what should they do? What can they do?
What they should do is there's a list of things. They always need to keep their pay stubs when they're ready to go buy a house. A lot of people get pay stubs and they tear them up, they throw them in the trash, or they get them online and they delete them. It's very important because we will ask for pay stubs up front, and it's not unusual for us to ask for more pay stubs closer to closing. So keep your pay stubs as well as bank statements. Now, I'm old school. I keep my bank statements in a 3-ring binder. I know they're going to laugh at me, but I do. A lot of people don't. They bank online, and you need to be able to send bank statements online or be prepared to go to the bank and ask the bank to print them out for you because we will need statements.
That's funny you should say that because I've had a couple of situations. I had the seller and they were online bankers, and I'm asking the agent, what's going on? She's like, they need a copy of the bank statements and she can't get them because she banks online and they need the ones from the start to the finish. So, and it was a holiday weekend and she couldn't get them. So she had to be there first thing when the bank opened to have them printed out. So that, and I love these dues because, it's not something you do all the time, but if you're going to be buying a house in the next 3 months or so, and you're going to go through the process, why not start doing these things now? Save yourself the headache. Get you a little folder in the kitchen drawer and just start sliding this stuff in there.
3-ring binder.
Go old school for a minute.
No, not the drawer.
There's nothing wrong with it. And I will tell you another little hint in the bank statements is a lot of bank statements have information on not only the front page, but the back page. So we have to have all pages of the bank statement. And I always say this, if page 4 of 10 is blank, I still have to have page 4. So always very important to remember, it's easier to bring the bank statements in, but if you don't and you send them, flip over on the back because there's usually something on the back that we need as well. Make sure your driver's license isn't expired. That's a big thing. We copy driver's license at the beginning of the loan application, and sometimes we don't look that it's expired, and sometimes the processor doesn't catch it. Sometimes the underwriter doesn't catch it, and then if we get all the way to closing, the title company will ask for 2 forms of ID, one being your driver's license, and the other doesn't have to be a picture ID, but some other form of ID. And I can't tell you, I've been at several closings where my title girl says, this is expired.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So they're scrambling for some other form of a photo ID at the last minute. So it's very important to make sure your driver's license is not expired.
Wow.
I wouldn't have thought of that. That's a good one.
That's a good one. Well,
Yes.
That's fantastic.
One more thing, tax returns. Be on top of your tax returns. File your tax returns. If you haven't filed your tax returns, provide a copy of your extension from the IRS. Also, if you have a payment plan and you pay the IRS, make sure you provide the lender with a copy of the agreement that you're paying the IRS. We have to show that you've paid 3 months on an FHA loan. We have to show that you have paid 3 months into that installment to be able to continue to close. Because if you owe money to the IRS, you either have to pay it or show the installment proof.
Ooh, I didn't know that one. That was a good one.
That's a good one. What
Yeah.
incredible information. Yes, we know not to sell the goat and get married on the day of closing with an expired license.
While buying a refrigerator.
While buying your refrigerator. And we can
Yes.
laugh, but these facts are so important. Any last thoughts that you guys have on all of this?
I think this is great information, and I think the mortgage process, it is a process, and people you may only go through this process 3 or 4 times in your whole life. So, and it changes. So I think, being on top of that, knowing this stuff is important. But I want to put Melissa, I'm gonna put you on the spot for just a sec. I want to know, she's going, oh God. What is like the craziest thing that you've ever come across as a mortgage lender? Like just like our goat story. Like I know you have one.
What's your goat story?
What's your goat story?
I have a bunch. One, a guy sold a tractor, which tractors don't have titles. So it was very hard. And it was a very expensive tractor. So it was very hard to document that information. Gosh, you're putting me on the spot. That's
I know. I promise I wouldn't do that either. I lied.
Goats, but horses. I've done deals where people have sold horses, and we've had to show the papers of the horse to show that you were the owner, the legal owner of the horse. Just like if you sell a car, we have to have a copy of the title to show that you were the legal owner of the car. So yeah,
it's the animals that are getting us in trouble.
It's true.
It's the animals that are getting us in trouble.
Farm equipment. Yeah, animals and farm equipment. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But the one thing that rings true here that I love about both of you, and also I know you, Melissa, as well, is that you guys care about your clients. And even though we kind of laughed a little bit, but you really want to see everybody have a successful home purchase from start to finish. You want to prevent these pitfalls. And it's so important. And we always talk about this. This is why you talk to the professionals. That's why you reach out to Melissa. You reach out to Matt and Marty. They'll get you in touch with her as well to make sure that you're getting all of the proper advice and information.
Yeah, you're sitting next to 2 of the best right there.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. This was fun and incredible information, and we just loved it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Can you take us back to San Diego with you?
I can. Let's go.
Get some Melissa loves sunshine as much as I do.
Mm-hmm.
Get our toes in the sand and get us some sunshine.
Yeah, and we're still working by the way when we're doing that.
Have a great day, Melissa. Thanks.
We'll see ya.
Thank you. Bye-bye.